All right, let's go. We're going to have this little conversation about 2026 vibes. The thing to really grasp onto is the fact that 25, 26, 27, those are going to be building blocks. And we have to continue to look at all of these years as like in totality of the decade, but not just 2020 or like new year 2022, new year 2025. We need to understand that all of the years are building blocks. And what we should be trying to do is progress through to build strong foundations for our descendants. That should be our goal. And once we gain an understanding of the fact that that is what we're doing, we would need to do that with a sense of empathy, a sense of community, and just really understanding that this isn't all just about us. If we are building for our descendants with a sense of empathy, we're going to benefit from that ultimately, right? But there's so much that has to come undone, and so much like indoctrination that has to come undone. And there's so much that needs to be, I mean, for lack of a better term, unlearned, right? You can't really unlearn something, but we need to release some things, let some stuff go. There's a lot of ways that, and obviously practicing and living, and so much of that is obsolete. And I've talked about that over the years. But this is really going to be a year to let a lot of things come undone. So, 2026, those DNA codes need to be healed. We need to do a lot of reprogramming. But it's going to be difficult to do. It's going to be really difficult. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge, but I feel like we can get it done if we know what we're supposed to be doing and if we're aware of like where we're supposed to be focusing with things. So, we really have to understand too that the work that we're doing should prepare the way in such a way that we don't revisit a lot of these energies. Like, we don't need to revisit this era again. We don't need to revisit these energies again. We don't need to revisit this stuff. It needs to be documented, but we don't ever need to come back here. So, like, once we step through this portal, like, we don't need to come back. We can take with us the things that work, and then we need to move forward. Um, I think the big thing too to really understand is that there's going to be just kind of like this attack on healers and healing. Like but that's because we're in the midst of spiritual warfare. So I know that for so many of us, we're watching it play out as like political warfare, but this is really spiritual warfare. Um, and it's based on a power that is ancient. And it is also a power that they told you is demonic. So you don't touch it and you don't practice it and you don't get the power of it. And that's about where I'm going to leave that, because it's not a conversation for mixed company. Like, the old folks used to say, we're not talking about this in mixed company. This is a conversation that is specific, it's guided, it's very well known. Um, and there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake. But this is spiritual warfare. So at every twist and turn, you need to remember that. And that's why there needs to be a lot of reprogramming being done, in order for us to actually use our power the way that it is intended, for whom it is intended. Um, I feel like there's a lot that needs to go back underground. I did a post a while ago, spirituality will no longer be trendy. I mean, we need to go back to very occult practices. Occult just means that it's hidden and it's not, you know, kind of out for public consumption. We need to go back to that. We need to go back to gatekeeping. Everybody got so used to like doing show and tell with their spirituality. Um, and people just took stuff and ran with it and played with it and built aesthetics off of it and that kind of thing. And we need to rein it on in because our spirituality um, should be what guides us through all of this and helping us work in our personal power. You'll see on the post that I've written down just kind of like a summary for each month and what to look forward to each month. If you're coming back to listen to this post and we are further along in 2026, revisit the post often, remind yourself, um, come back and look at the posts that I do monthly or quarterly or whenever I do them to just kind of talk about the energy. Um, because this isn't a one-time thing for you just to look at it and like catalog it, and then we get halfway through the year and you're like, oh yeah, I remember you said. I want you to visit regularly, and pay attention to where things are going, pay attention to the synchronicities, pay attention to the things that are occurring, pay attention to the things that are happening. But we need to have more respect for healers and those who have healing energy. If you are a healer and you have healing energy, you need to be working with someone who can teach you how to um, preserve your energy, protect your energy, and manage your energy. You need to be working with someone who can help you with that. Because what's going to happen is that people are going to feel uncomfortable and they're going to want to come out of that discomfort and they're going to be like, oh, where's a healer? I need some help. I need to feel better. When in actuality, a lot of us had already told y'all we were going to get here in the first place. And so it's kind of sort of not our job to take you out of places that, like, if nobody was listening in the first place and we were called demonic and everything else, you can't turn to the healers when everything hits the fan and be like, fix this. And that's exactly what 2026 and part of 2027 is going to look like. That's not our job and not our responsibility on that level. We are not here for your individual consumption to be siphoned, to be absorbed so you can feel better. People are still going to have to do the work. People are still going to have to do their individual work. They're going to have to do their community work. They're going to have to do what they need to do in order to be down for the cause and part of the complete solution. That part's going to be super important. So, healers, make sure you are balanced. All of my clients that are working with me, they all have homework and assignments for the year, things that will keep them focused, things that will keep them balanced, things that will help them to stay protected with their energy. And so if you're listening to this and you don't work with me one-on-one, consider it. Or if you have your own spiritualist that you work with, make sure that you kind of step up with that because it's going to be a ride this year. Things are going to feel heavy and feel compressed. And I feel like things are going to bottleneck after a moment as well. And so people are going to be like, oh, I need to feel better. I need to feel this. I need to feel that. I need to get this together. And while those things may be true, it is not your spiritualist's responsibility to make you feel better or help you through those situations in that way. Our job is to help mankind um, as a whole. That's like what we're supposed to be doing, is helping mankind as a whole. And so we're going to give you things that help you to help you individually, things that help you, excuse me, individually, that will in turn help the community. And so that's what the conversation is really going to start to look like. So I want you guys to be aware of that, like be aware of where this is going and what it looks like, and what healing and all of that stuff is going to look like. So thank you for tuning in. Um, Make sure you join the Love Blog, and make sure you keep updated, because I will be posting all throughout the year, and um, posting astrology insights and energy insights, and just helping you along the way with things that you can do to keep you sane throughout the rest of this year and the rest of this decade.